Assalamu alaikum. I have graduated from high school, majoring in science with very high scores. My family had hopes and ambitions that I would select medicine as a study major. They were really looking very eagerly to have the very first doctor in my family. But this really did not work with my plans. All what I knew about studying of medicine, that it is a real big trap. I will be trapped and I will be locked between books for the rest of my life. I will have to keep studying and I have to keep up on research, diseases, viruses. I have to remember all kind of acronyms. That was not my plan. Being a student, just graduated from high school, I was so tired of studying and books, to be more specific. So I was really looking to join the university, get a degree, and join the workforce. That was my dream. I kept studying and learning about theories, practices, models, and so forth. So my plan was to get things done, to get things into action. That was my real hope, not to continue study after university. The year 1997 have witnessed a lot of major events around the world. For example, the scientists have announced the cloning of Dolly the sheep. And also in the same year, there were the funeral of Princess Diana. For me, the biggest event ever in that year is me joining Qatar University. I have studied the major I was really looking for and I have passion for. At the top of this major have guaranteed a seat for me when I graduate. So it's sort of the mission nearly accomplished. I will start getting things done. So when I graduate and I have joined an organization so quickly, I did not realize back then that I have started writing my own fairy tale. Being the writer, so there is no better role for me to play than being the heroine. So as I was progressing in my career and I was really being part of my own dream of getting things done and implemented, I have met all kinds of predictable characters in any fairy tale. I have met the Prince Charming, the Wicked Witch, the Frog, the Dragon, even the Dwarfs. They all came into my way and I actually had interacted with them. They all came into the shape of humans, tasks, and even projects. Being a hero in a story, there is always a quest. There is always a challenge where all the events will center around. So for me, being a professional, an employee within an organization, having the corporate walls being my virtual world where the story happened, my quest was solving problems while navigating through the corporate maze. So what would be my tools? Heroes carry tools. So would the tools be the sword and shield? Is that practical? Can you imagine me coming to the office every day with my sword and shield? So that was not my biggest challenge, to find my tools, to find my equipment. The real challenge was finding the elixir of life. If you remember in fairy tales, there is always this magical drink that the heroes will carry with them. It will keep them surviving. It will keep them energetic. It will keep them fighting through, even after having hard time. So does it exist? That was the big question for me. So navigating through the corporate maze and also progressing within my career, I kept looking for the tools, the appropriate kind of tools that I need to carry. So benchmarking was one of the tricks I have learned about. It is a tool that the organization will decide to use and to carry whenever they are looking for the solution We're looking for the best system. So they will look around the world, they will find the best system, and they will copy in our local environment. This is exactly what I have done. It is a tool. So in addition to that, I have decided to take with me in the journey another tool, which is continuous education. I've decided to continue studying and learning. So every time I finish an advanced training, or even I get another academic or even a professional degree, I come back to the office with a big excitement of, yes, I know it all. I know and I can predict what kind of problems any organization could go through. And I can solve even problems. I'm more advanced than my peers. I have the tools. I have learned the models. I have the theories. So there was always the excitement whenever any professional, or let me say most of us, once we finish an advanced study or even a class with all kinds of new tools and practices. As I was progressing in my career, I was lucky enough to join a new organization, a new establishment. For us, such an experience is like a green field. We, as a professional, will have the chance and the opportunity to simply roll up our sleeve and start implementing whatever we have always wished for. What type of problems that we could face? It's a green field. We are starting things from scratch. So myself, I had the objective, and I was really looking forward to have the organization I'm working for to be named after Google and Microsoft, to be the best organization to work for, and even to be known as the organization which is having the most sophisticated and advanced systems. But life is not fair. I ended up with a big shock. The shock was that all the efforts, resources, and time that we have put in order to implement these systems in our local environment did not really give the same outcome that we were aiming for. It's a fundamentally different environment. So I ended up with a new kind of problems and challenges that I have to face. It's a new kind of problems and challenges that I have never read of. The outcome from the model is not similar to what I have studied, or at least what I have promised to get. So this kind of scenarios and problems is very common. And we can see it in most of the organizations who are eager to implement new systems, and they are really striving for excellence. So this is a gap. This gap, when the theory and the practice, which is designed in a different environment and culture, it gets implemented in our local environment. So this kind of gaps actually hinders organizations' performance and focus. They won't be focusing on the main problems and challenges they were established for. They will have to spend their time looking on how they can solve the new kind of problems that they have created for themselves. Talking about performance, and if we have professionals here, whenever we are trying to fix performance issues, or even to enhance focus of an organization, the answer would be always performance management system. Now, to be more clear and to link what I was saying about the gap and what we were looking for, one of the experiences I had in my journey on establishing the best organization in the world, we were looking for the best system for performance management system. So with the system, we had the most sophisticated processes when it comes to management of the performance. Yet, the outcome was not as effective as we were really aiming for. Why this happened? I just followed the steps. I followed the checklist. I have implemented everything that I have to do. I followed the manual. The performance management system, what we tend to forget or overlook, these systems when they are designed in a different environment, they really base on two fundamental things for their success. The first, they are built on transparency, honesty, timely feedback, especially when it comes to talking about deficiencies and talking about things that goes wrong. The second thing is the ability to set deadlines and KPIs, key performance indicators. Deadlines for the achievement and the delivery of a project and objectives. What we have realized in the hard way, that we are not so good in both of them. Culturally, we are not the best when it comes to sharing bad news in the face. We will tend to dance around it to make it sound pretty and acceptable. But I won't tell it in the face that things went wrong and things need to be fixed. The second thing, when it comes to deadlines, what I have learned that deadlines most of the time are perceived as recommendations rather than something must be met. So in our genuine quest for excellence and to be the best of the best, we always fall in the trap of copying the systems and looking for imported systems. We are always forgetting or even overlooking the fact that these systems and practices were the outcome and they were designed in a different environment, culture, social norms, priorities, and even economy. It is completely different than the environment we are at. So this is itself causing a lot of problems that we are overlooking and we are really not giving it a priority and importance as it should be. If I'm trying to describe it, I would say that this is like when a blind leads a blind. The first blind would be the imported practices and methods and theories, leading our local organizations in their quest to solve their problems and to get the best systems implemented in our local environment. So with all the learning that we are going through and all the findings that we are going through, and with all the kind of problems and challenges we are facing as an organization when we are trying to copy these systems. So the bigger question is, why we don't be the benchmark? Why we don't have our own models? Why we'll keep looking somewhere for something that will try to squeeze hardly in our culture and our environment? Is this doable? In my opinion, the answer is yes, we can do it. If we have followed two things. The first is innovation. The second is through telling fairy tales. So innovation is not restricted to creation of new things. And entrepreneurship is not limited to startups and to businesses and companies. We can still do both things in order for us to be benchmarked. In today's organizations, they always tend to look for the best, and they are trying to copy it in our environment. So the steps that they follow is starting with copying, mimicking, and then simulating. What they are already forgetting and overlooking every time is the very last step in the innovation process, which already started. Copy, mimic, simulate. And you can close this process with create. Creation of our own systems, our own models. Crystallizing all the learning and having it in a form of a new knowledge generated. So managers in today's organizations, their role is not restricted and not limited to the classical responsibilities of management. Managers in today's organizations, they are educators and also they are entrepreneurs. They are to build the skills and also the curiosity on how to customize and personalize all the management theories and even the practices. They are to forget about what they already know, and they need to start looking of what they don't know. Managers are to take the step forward with their organization, to give a hand to the academic institutions, to collaborate further and attempt to close that last step in the innovation process. Creation of knowledge, creation of theories that fits our organizations and fits our culture. It's the customization process. It is the translation process. Fairy tales also plays a role in this, to be benchmark. So fairy tales are told for a reason. There is always something different. There is always a lesson learned. Within the walls of organizations and corporations, there are a lot of stories. There are a lot of interactions, problems, drama, a new lesson learned every day. So we have the stories. What we are not good about is how we tell the stories, how we can share the stories. These are the fairy tales that to be shared and transferred from one place to another, so we could learn new things. Today, I'm still studying, even though that really contradicts with the very first reason for me discounting medicine as a study. I was not really looking forward to continue studying and spending the rest of my life between books and research. And this is exactly what I'm having today and what I'm doing today. In fairy tales, and to be more specific in my fairy tale, I have discovered that management is not as easy as I thought. It's really is not as simple as copying the management theories, the best practices, and so forth, and implement them in my local environment. It is so complex. It is complicated. And even it is scientific. So with the study I'm doing, I'm hoping that I will be starting a new chapter in my fairy tale. And also, as I was reflecting on all the experiences that I have until today, I also realized that I was always carrying with me the elixir of life. It does exist. It's there. The elixir of life that kept me up and kept me moving, kept me curious and questioning, kept the energy up, was a magical combination of passion and education. So with this, do you think that you have a fairy tale to be shared? Thank you.